This is the Google Slides Review 3 assignment, and the directions for this assignment are on each individual slide. So this first slide says add links to the images below. The start button should take you to slide number 2. The end image should take you to slide 9, and the math image should take you to mathplayground.com. So there are 3 ways to add a link to images or text or shapes. And one way is by clicking on that and then going up to insert, down to link, and then it's asking us what we want to link this to. So it gives us 2 suggestions to the next slide or slide number 1. We can also click down here on this drop down for slides in this presentation so you can see all the rest of the slides, or we could type in a link up here. You can search for a link or paste a link as well, and we'll do that later with Math Playground. So this one I just want the next slide, so I'm going to click on next slide. And you'll notice now when I click on it, it shows me that this will bring me to the next slide. If you make a mistake and click on the wrong one, you can always remove the link as well. So the end image right here, we want to have this one bring us to the last slide. So another way to add a link is on your toolbar right here, you have the little paper clip to insert a link, and you can click on that. So you'll notice here, I don't want the next slide and I don't want slide number 1. I can't see far enough down to get to slide number 9. So a couple things I could do here is I could take this and I could slide it up on the slide and then see if I can see it. And now I see slides in this presentation, and I could go down to number 9. If you don't want to move it though, sometimes it's a pain to move images around, is we can click on that insert link and then we can just start typing in slide 9. Now you'll see there's 3 options. 2 of these are websites, and I don't want it to link to a website. I want it to actually go to slide number 9. So I want this first one. And now it is linked to slide 9. The last way to insert a link is to click on this, and then we do have that shortcut. If you saw the shortcut when I was hovering over the paperclip here, it's Control plus the letter K. So if I click on this and on my keyboard do Control and the letter K, the same link pops up right here. And now I'm going to type in mathplayground.com, and then I can click apply, or I can click on the suggested links here. Obviously the first one's mathplayground.com, the second one is facebook.com, and I don't want Facebook, so I'll just click on apply. And now with these links, I'll show you where they bring me. So this first one, if I click on that, I can click down to next slide. It'll bring me to slide number 2. The end will bring me to slide number 9. And then Math Playground, if I click on the link, would bring me to Math Playground. Moving on to slide number 2. It says group these stars into one group. So right now, if I click on a star, they all move individually, and I want them to be in one group. So there are multiple ways to put things in a group. One way is to click on an object and then hold down Control on your keyboard and click on the next object and continue to do that. This way though, you need to be very careful to make sure you get all the objects, because right now I didn't group the middle one. So if I were to go ahead and group these and move them, you'll notice the middle star does not move. So let's undo that. And it's tough to see what ones you've actually grouped this way. They do get a little bit of an outline, but with the blue outline of my stars, it's very tough to see. So now that they're all apart again, the easiest way is just to click your mouse and drag over them. And after you drag over them, then we can group them. The 2 ways to group them is to put your cursor over top of one of them. So you have to make sure your cursor is on top. It can't be between them. So when it turns to the 4 arrows, right click your mouse, and then you can go to group. There's also another way here. You can see the shortcut. Control plus Alt plus G will also make a group. So let me try Control, Alt, and the letter G, and that also makes a group as well. The last way, which I didn't mention, so there's a 3rd way, is if I were to, again, highlight these, you can go up to arrange, and then if they are not in a group, you can group them. If they are in a group already, then you can go ahead and ungroup them. So arrange up on your toolbar gives you the option to group and ungroup. Right, slide number 3 says group all of the red stars in a group but do not include the yellow stars. So the easiest way to do this, instead of clicking on each red one individually and holding down control, is to select them all. Now hold down control on your keyboard, and then you're basically going to click on both of these yellow stars and you are deselecting them. So after I dragged over all the stars, I held down control and I continue to hold it down while I click on the 2 yellow. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to group these together, and when I move it, the yellow stars should stay there and the red stars should move. So that's the easiest way to create a group, but then to deselect some is to hold down your control key. All right, slide number 4 says group all the red stars in a group and group all the yellow stars in a group. So again, it's up to you, but what I'm going to do is click and drag over all of them, and then I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to make sure to click directly on top of my 5 yellow stars. I'm going to go ahead and group, and then I'm going to slide that out of the way, and then I can go through and highlight all my yellow stars and put those in a group. So now when I move them, the groups of stars move according to their colors. Right now, if I click on this shape, it moves all together because it is one group. I want to ungroup it though. So go ahead and click, and you can either click and drag over it or just click on it since it's already a group. And then we're just going to go to arrange and ungroup. And when I did that, you'll notice the pieces all come apart now that I have ungrouped it. So you should see the 9 different parts of this if you've ungrouped it correctly. Slide number 6 says rotate and resize the shapes and place them on top of the shapes of the same color. So over here, these 4 shapes on the left, this is part of the background, so you can't move these. The shapes on the right, you are able to move. So you just need to click and drag and resize these so that they are going to fit right on top of the other ones. So with the lightning bolts, you're not going to need to change the size, but you are going to need to rotate them. So if you click on top, you can rotate and you can flip them horizontally or vertically. So if I flip this one horizontally, it should fit right on top of the other one. And then this one I need to flip vertically. So either I can right click on top of it, or I also have the option to arrange and then go down to flip vertically. And now that one should fit right on top of this. The chevron symbol here is going to be a little bit tougher because you'll notice not only do we need to resize it, but the pattern or the shape of it is a little different. So you'll notice there's this little yellow diamond on it, and with that yellow diamond I can change how the chevron looks. So you're going to need to click on it and drag it to the left to make the chevron fit a little bit better on top of the one that you're trying to match it to. So just try to get as close as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be pretty close. All right, slide number 7. You are going to use, so all of these shapes over here on the right side are free moving, and then this shape on the left is part of the background. So you need to click and drag these to make them the right size, but then you also need to order them. So right now, if I were to put this eye on top of my smiley face, it disappears because it's behind it. So you need to use the order feature to put them in the right order. So my sun is going to be all the way in the back. And I know it needs to be larger in size, but the first thing I need to do is change the order. So to change the order, I can click on it. I can right click and go down to order. And then you have the option to bring to front, bring forward, send backward, or send to back. And you also have shortcuts for those as well. So if you want to send it all the way to the front or all the way to the back, you can use those, or if you just want to send it one place. So I know that this one I want all the way in the back, so I'm going to click send to back. And now this object, if I put anything else on top of it, the other object you'll be able to see because that's as far back as you can go. So continue to change the order of these shapes to recreate this. And when you're finished, you should have another logo that looks like this, and I'll show you mine in just a second. As I was working through this, I just wanted to give you a few more pointers. If you know your eyes and your mouth are going to be all the way in the front, instead of clicking on each one individually, again, you can click and drag over all three of them, and then you can go to arrange and order, and then you can bring those to the front, and that brings all three of them to the front at the same time. And then you'll need to click on them individually to drag them into the right place. Another thing that you can do, obviously you could create a group so that when you move this, it stays together. However, if you didn't want to group, if you still wanted the ability to move the pieces around, you can click and drag over all the pieces like this. And then when you put your cursor and you see the 4 arrows, then click and drag. And what that will do, it will move all of the objects together, even though you haven't grouped them yet. So that's a way to move multiple objects if you haven't grouped them. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You can see my eyes are a little bit smaller, but as long as it's close enough, that works for me. On slide number 8, you need to recreate these boxes so that they say top, middle, and bottom. So if you go to shapes, you should see the shape that I used right here. Click on that. And then what I would recommend doing is getting it about the proper size. And your colors don't have to be the same as mine, but I used like a light green. I did a border in red. I changed the border weight to 4. And then what I would do is copy, Control C, and then paste, Control V, Control V. Then to type inside the box, you just click on it, and then you're just going to type. So I'll type top, and I use size 22 font and bold. So, and then again, I'm just going to copy that, paste it, and then after I paste it, then I'm going to change it to say middle and bottom. Now to get my top all the way up to the top, I need to go up to my alignment. So if you click up on align on your toolbar, I want to center align it, but I also want to send it to the top. So you'll see that option. The middle one, I just need to center align because it's already in the middle. If it wasn't, then I would click on this one right here. And the bottom one, center align and send it down to the bottom. And then you can arrange your boxes similar to mine, like that. The last slide, it just says center the end image exactly in the middle of the slide. So it needs to be both vertically or horizontally and vertically aligned. So one way is to manually do it. If you click it and drag it over, when you get to 5, you'll see different red lines as you drag it. But when you're in the middle, it puts a line all the way from top to bottom. So that's center aligned as far as horizontally goes, but vertically we need to move it up and down until we see that same line. So when we get it perfect, we should see a solid red line both directions, vertically and horizontally. So, and then you got to make sure when you let go that it doesn't move at all. So that's one way. The other way is if we click on it, you'll notice if we click on arrange again, we have the ability to center on page horizontally, and then we can also go to arrange center on page vertically. So that way might be easier just to click on that as opposed to clicking and dragging it. If you're finished with all 9 slides, you may go ahead and submit your assignment.